Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for.
All right, everybody. I'm back. Good to be back. So it is actually late Thursday. We'll probably run this as a clip on Friday morning. But late Thursday night, right after the Final Four, obviously I was traveling last week, sit down with the wife. And it was funny. I was thinking about this, is that last year, the Thursday after the Final Four, was actually the night that Mark Pope got hired at Kentucky, okay? I vividly remember because we had done a full show, who's going to be next, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. Sit down with the wife, we're watching TV, and then boom, phone blows up. Mark Pope will be your next head coach at Kentucky. So why do I bring it up? Tonight, Thursday, I sat there and said, you know what? It's funny what a difference a year makes. It feels like it's really quiet. There's not very much going on. Sit down with the wife to watch some TV, and then I look at my phone, and there was news that we need to address. So if you have not heard, and I'm sure you have because you're watching this video, but late Thursday night, about 10 p.m. Eastern time, Acaden Lewis, high four-star, about a top 25, top 30 recruit, was one of 3 freshmen committed to Kentucky. He decommitted in news first broken by Jonathan Gavoni about 10 p.m. Eastern time. Wasn't able to even get in front of a microphone until much, much, much later, so we're saving it for the morning. But let's go ahead and discuss. I want to be careful here. We're still gathering details. We're still gathering facts. But listen, this is the new world we live in. It's frustrating if you're a fan. Every fan at every school is going to deal with something this spring that just makes you go like, what is going on with the world of college sports right now? This is Kentucky's moment. A 4-star guard that you thought was going to be a big part of your 2025-2026 roster is no more. So let's just spend a few minutes and break it down, okay? So first of all, Acaden Lewis, I remember doing the commitment video back in October, November, sometime in the fall. Really good player, 6'4" guard. He's not quite that 5-star McDonald's All-American type, but he's really good. Final 3, remember like it was yesterday, UConn, Duke, and Kentucky. When UConn, Duke, and Kentucky are recruiting you, you're a baller, okay? And so he ends up choosing Kentucky. It was a huge win for Mark Pope at the time, not just because he's a really good player, but it was really the first kind of high-profile player that wasn't from the state of Kentucky in the high school ranks that ended up committing to Pope, right? Jasper Johnson from Kentucky, Malachi Moreno from Kentucky, Trent Noah from Kentucky, Travis Perry from Kentucky. So it was this great big moment in time for Kentucky. He's a really good player, and he just felt like he was going to be a big piece of what you did. Again, 6'4" guard. I didn't think he was a guy that you wanted to put the ball in his hands day one and say, hey, go be great in the SEC. That's a really tough task for any 18-year-old. And so the assumption, of course, even when he committed was Kentucky's probably going to bring in a veteran guard to play alongside him. And I think at various points this season, there was even a thought of, could Kerr Kriisa redshirt after the injury and come back? Well, Kerr Kriisa leaves a few weeks ago, whatever it was, enters the portal. By the end of the year, I don't think that was really a surprise. The whole didn't go through senior day, whatever, blah, 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 blah. The only reason I bring it up is because I don't think the timing is coincidental in terms of when and why Acaden Lewis decided to decommit now, okay? It comes, about 5 days after Kentucky took a veteran guard in the portal, Jalen Lowe from Pitt. Really good player, Jalen Lowe in his own right, 17 points per game, 4 rebounds, 5.5 assists per game. And it's funny because when Jalen Lowe committed, we talked about it, is that this is almost the perfect succession plan for Kentucky, right? You have this 4-star guard that's going to get there, but he's probably not a day one, put the ball in his hands and go kind of guy. And now you have this veteran guard that can play off each other. Ironically, both lefties, that's neither here nor there. But I bring it up because you think, okay, you got 2 years with Lowe. You ease Acaden Lewis in. Maybe he's in the 6th man this year. Then next year, maybe you have a 3-guard backcourt with Jasper Johnson. Who knows? But this is just, it's set up very nicely. Well, when Jalen Lowe commits, this is my speculation, okay? So I'm recording this after midnight Eastern on Thursday night, and maybe something else will come out. Maybe there's some detail that we don't know. If there is, I apologize. You guys want content, so I'm trying to react in real time, okay? But I don't think the timing of Kentucky taking not only a veteran guard, but a veteran guard with 2 years still to go on his eligibility clock played a role here. Listen, I'm not blaming Mark Pope. I'm not blaming Acaden Lewis. But to me, I just think what this speaks to more than anything is that in 2025, 2026 in college basketball, roster building is just insane, okay? And the one thing, listen, I actually give Mark Pope a ton of credit for this. I think he actually kind of tiered his roster pretty well last season, considering that literally on this day, there was no coach and he had no players. I like that he had the 4, 5, 6, 4th or 5th year seniors. Then he had the 3, 4 guys that he thought were going to come back. Otega Owe, Brandon Garrison, who we're still waiting on. Otega Owe, we're still waiting on too. But then the 3 freshmen, Colin Chandler, Travis Perry, and of course, on top of it, Trent Noah. And so you kind of got those older guys that could come back for the 25-26 season. You have the younger guys that you can develop in the program. Then you got 3 freshmen coming in. But what Acaden Lewis's decommitment tells me is that in 2025, you just can't count on anything. Recruiting is not only a year-to-year proposition, it's kind of a day-to-day proposition, and as I sit here and think about it, again, just reacting in real time, you wonder, Jalen Lowe, like if he was a senior with 1 year of eligibility left, does Acaden Lewis actually do this? I don't know, but it doesn't feel coincidental, again, that a player that has multiple years of eligibility comes in at the point guard position. Acaden Lewis decides to decommit. So a couple thoughts here, kind of moving big picture. One, let me, if it's not clear, let me say this. I don't blame Mark Pope in any way, shape, or form. Listen, his job is to put Kentucky in the best position to win championships every single year, to be a team that is good enough to be playing on the final weekend every single year. And the bottom line is, unless you have a Cooper flag, it is really hard to do it with freshmen in this era. And so again, I give him credit. I think in a perfect world, you want to bring in those guys that, if you could get a one and done, if you could get a Cooper flag, an AJ DeBonsa, Darren Peterson, yeah, you do it. But if not, you bring in guys you can kind of set up like, hey, we're going to bring in a veteran around you. We're not going to put too much on you. And if you're good enough, you go out there and compete. And so I don't blame Mark Pope. Acaden Lewis is a really good player. You had a chance to get him. You went after him. But I also don't blame Mark Pope because he sat there and said, look, I need a veteran guard. I don't have 2 or 3 years to develop you in the SEC. I got to go up against Rick Barnes. I got to go up against Bruce Pearl. I got to go up against, John Cal. Say whatever you want about Cal. Cal's going to have a good team next year. He's going to have 2 5-stars in the backcourt. And so Mark Pope doesn't have time to babysit, doesn't have time to develop a guy kind of in the SEC. He's got to win next year, and he has a very good roster that is in position to do that. If Jaden Quaintance, we already talked about it. If Jaden Quaintance is healthy, Jaden Quaintance is a dog, okay? Mo Diabate is a dog, and you need a veteran guard with them. And then, oh, by the way, the other freshmen, you don't have to, again, if Jasper Johnson's good enough to get you 16 a night, then you'll let Jasper Johnson cook. But if he isn't, that's okay too. And so I don't blame Mark Pope for going out and putting together the best roster that he possibly can and taking a veteran who has been through the wars in the ACC. Was, again, what did I tell you a minute ago? 17 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists per game in the ACC. Jalen Lowe's a good player. You take a Jalen Lowe if you have the chance to. And so I don't blame Mark Pope. I think this is what he had to do for the team. And I guess in a way, I don't blame Acaden Lewis either. Now, listen, I wish we lived in a different world. I'll be real. Does kind of feel, I'm just going to say it. If this makes me sound bad and makes me sound anti-player, pro-coach, whatever, I don't care. I've been called everything in the sun on the internet. So if, again, I don't want to pick on a 17, 18-year-old kid. Does kind of look like he's running away from competition, right? Because at the end of the day, yeah, Jalen Lowe's coming in to be the starting point guard, but if you're better than him, you think Mark Pope's not going to play you? Sorry, I just don't think it's going to happen. Again, Mark Pope's job is to win games and to win championships at Kentucky, and he's going to put the guys on the floor who put him in best position to succeed. And so this kid, clearly, it looks like from a distance, that's not what he was looking for. He was looking for something a little bit more guaranteed, playing time. And now look, he's going to have options, right? Because I keep saying this about this particular portal cycle. We don't have the 5th-year seniors. And I'm telling you, as somebody who's following rosters every single day, I promise you, there are a lot of teams that need a lead guard that are calling him right now saying, dude, you could come here. You could probably start day one. I'm just speculating. Again, he was recruited by Duke. They have the Cam Boozer, Acaden Boozer, excuse me, the point guard. UConn's good at the guard position. I don't think either of them is going to be in the mix. But listen, he was recruited by North Carolina. North Carolina needs dudes right now. Elliot Cadeau transferred to Michigan. Ian Jackson's in the portal. RJ Davis graduated. So it's kind of Seth Trimble, a couple big guys, and whatever. Would it make sense for him to go there? I guess North Carolina did take the point guard from Colorado State, so maybe that's not a fit. Kevin Willard at Villanova. Acaden Lewis is a DC guy. Is that a fit? Go to the Big East. Have the chance to compete right away. Does that make sense? By the way, he's from Virginia. Virginia has Dallin Hall, the player from BYU. They don't have very many guys on that roster right now. So I'm just spitballing here, but I'm saying is there are going to be spots where if he feels like I want to start right away and I think I'm good enough, there are going to be opportunities. Only thing I'd say, I don't blame Mark Pope. It is what it is. But what I'd also say is this is roster building in 2025, 2026. There are so many tough decisions that coaches have to make. Do I take the veteran even if it's going to piss off the young guy? Do I take the better player even if it's going to piss off the guy on my roster? I think that's a little bit of what's going on with Brandon Garrison at Kentucky right now. If you're Mark Pope, you don't not take Jaden Quaintance if Jaden Quaintance wants to come. But Brandon Garrison's like, well, what about me? What does this mean for me? You don't pass up on a guy like that. Again, by the way, there are situations where there are guys you want to keep, but does it make sense financially? Do you have to move on from them? I can name 100 of them. And so what I would just say, this is the new world of college basketball. It stinks. You wish it wasn't like this. You wish that a kid that wasn't committed from November on would stick to his commitment and stay with you. But unfortunately, this is just the world that we live in. Acaden Lewis is available. We'll obviously be monitoring. I do think there are a couple interesting options for him. But now Kentucky, there's one more spot that you need. You have the 4 portal commits, Jalen Lowe, Jaden Quaintance, Cam Williams, and Mo Diabate. You have potentially 5 returning guys with Otega Owe, Brandon Garrison, and the 3 freshmen I mentioned, Travis Perry, Trent Noah, and Colin Chandler. And now you have 2 freshmen in Jasper Johnson and Malachi Moreno. So I don't blame Pope. You got to go put together the best team you can. But this is the world we live in 2025, 2026. Every team, every roster is dealing with it. Guys you don't want to lose. But, do we recruit the veteran even though we have the young guy? Do we keep the young guy? It's never ending. That's why April has become the craziest month in college basketball. And Acaden Lewis is officially back on the market. By the way, if you enjoyed this video, quick reminder, Aaron Torres Pod YouTube, we're at 54,400 subscribers. I cannot believe how much you guys show out and show up for this show. So I appreciate you guys. By the way, our Torres on UK page, we will have plenty on this decommitment. And like I said, Kentucky's got another roster spot to fill. By the way, I should have mentioned this early. If you're a Kentucky fan, I wouldn't sweat too much. It's disappointing. You recruited this guy. You built you've thought a lot about him. What's he going to do? All that good stuff. But here is the thing. With Acaden Lewis. He's out. There, you know how many veterans in the portal would love a chance to play at Kentucky, play in the SEC, be a part of this program? Kentucky's going to be fine. Torres on UK. We'll get some more reaction as more details come out.